Welcome back to Movin' Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. It's the podcast where we watch the Muppet movie 2 minutes at a time and talk about it a lot. I'm your host, Anthony Strand.
I'm your other host, Ryan Rowe.
And joining us today, we have a return guest. Tell the folks who you are again.
Hi, everybody. I'm Grant Harding, an old friend from the Tough Pigs Forum.
That's right, and we are thrilled to have you back. Well, today we are talking about minutes 79 and 80 of the Muppet movie. And we begin as Kermit walks past a rotating musical rain barrel. And we end as the clock strikes high noon, with Kermit approaching Doc Hopper and his goons for the showdown. So the first thing we need to talk about then is the musical rotating rain barrel.
What a great thing.
Right? Well, what I had never thought about until watching it for the podcast is Bunsen says shortly after, "We live here perfecting useful inventions."
Yes.
He goes out of his way to call this thing useful.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I caught that line, and I don't know. I didn't look up all of Bunsen's inventions ever, but I feel like he probably has about a half and half record of useful versus not useful inventions, because something like a teleporter, that can be useful. The super sticky glue, that could be useful. These are all things from the Muppet Show. But I don't think there's much demand for edible paper clips or a gorilla detector. Maybe usefulness would be debatable there. But yeah, a musical rotating rain barrel is definitely on the less useful end of the spectrum.
Well, it's not injuring Beaker in any way, so he's already ahead of the game.
That's true.
I'm sure Beaker is relieved.
Yeah, it's uncharacteristically, I realized Beaker doesn't get hurt in this movie.
No, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
and I do have some thoughts about that now that you bring it up, but I do want to save it for the later scene. And actually, we should say who Bunsen and Beaker are. It's been so long since we met a new Muppet in the movie.
Well, can I just? Are we moving on from the musical rotating rain barrel?
No. Whatever. I'll say that thing about Bunsen and Beaker later.
Okay.
So, what other thoughts do we have about the musical rotating rain barrel?
I just want to talk about what a great prop this is, and what just a great, hilarious nonsense concept it is. So it's a rain barrel, and the outside of it spins, and there's pinwheels on the inside that spin too, and there's water spraying from the top of it, and the whole thing is playing circus music, which I am pretty sure is supposed to be an arrangement of Lady of Spain. It's just a really fun thing in this movie.
Yeah, well, actually, what I know, so as listeners may or may not remember, I have a 3-year-old daughter, and she is obsessed with dresses that spin. She wakes up every morning and says, "I want the spinniest dress." Thing. And the musical rotating rain barrel looks like a spinny dress when all the boards go up and it spins around.
Yeah, it's absolutely
spinning in a dress.
Yeah, reminiscent of that. And I know, so we cut these minutes up in such a way that we stopped last week right before the musical rain barrel came to life. But when you're watching it all the way through, everything goes really quiet for a few seconds before Kermit passes the barrel. And then suddenly this cacophonous noise strikes up. I know the first, when I was a kid, I remember watching this, and I would forget about it, and it would startle me. And I have actually been at screenings of this movie where it makes people jump, and it's always a fun. It's better than a jump scare in a horror movie because it's more fun.
Yeah, but it's true. It is kind of a jump scare moment.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
Yeah.
It's instantly, diffused by how silly it is.
It's very ridiculous.
Oh, and also it elicits another. We haven't talked about this in a while, but another great mouth sound from Kermit. He kind of does it like a when it starts doing its thing. So.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
So before we move on, we really should talk about the inventors of the musical rotating rain barrel. It's Bunsen and Beaker. It's been such a long time since we got any new characters in this movie that I kind of forgot that we used to talk about who the Muppets were when they first showed up.
Who was the last new character we got?
Rolf.
Rolf. That feels like ages ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's really a very long time. But so Bunsen is of course the mad scientist at Muppet Labs. He's played by Dave Goles, and Beaker is his assistant, who only says me, things like that. And that's Richard Hunt at this time. So that's who Bunsen and Beaker are. And they make their entrance into the movie here. They are operating a laboratory in a ghost town. They are apparently the only people who live there.
Well, yeah, Bunsen says they live there. I don't know if I've ever really thought about that. So they apparently have utilities, because we see in a minute that they have electricity.
But it's
powering.
possible that Bunsen built a generator, or Beaker is running on some kind of a hamster wheel.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. But yeah, I guess they probably live there for free, because I can't imagine anyone really. I can't imagine there being much demand for a ghost town.
Right. So Kermit goes into their laboratory next, and what I love is that, and again, I've never thought about this before. Bunsen seems like he's just itching for Kermit to ask him about his inventions.
Yeah, Bunsen's enthusiasm is just wonderful. It's that's one of his major traits, is his enthusiasm. And the lab looks like, this is the kind of thing you only start to think about when you watch it 2 minutes at a time. I guess the lab is built in what I guess was the general store or the apothecary or something in the cowboy town.
Yeah, that would make sense. I did notice that there's a dictionary in the window.
Huh.
When we see in through the window, you can see a book that clearly says a dictionary on the front.
Yeah.
Which, not sure why that's there, but
with those swinging doors, I guess I assumed it was a saloon.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But all the shelves and everything makes me think of an apothecary. All the jars.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so when Kermit comes in, Bunsen says, "Welcome to our laboratory. Please don't touch anything." And Kermit follows this up by asking if this is the only street into town. Right? I think Kermit does not care about Bunsen's inventions at all, even a little. He's just thinking about Doc Hopper. He's worried about this showdown. And Bunsen's just like, "Hey, here's my lab."
Well, Bunsen has been, he's lonely in this ghost town with just Beaker and him sitting there, hanging out all day inventing things. So right. Yeah, he's just itching to show someone his inventions.
Right. Well, and then what Floyd walks in and says, "Hey, what are you dudes doing in here?" And Bunsen gets so excited and says, "I'm glad you asked."
Yeah, he gets so excited. It sounds for a moment like he's upset, but he's so, the noise he makes is just so, he's, like you say, he's just frothing over with excitement.
Right. Well, it's like he says, "Yeah, I'm glad you asked." It's like that's all he wanted Kermit to do, right? Was ask. And he did. And Floyd did, and he's so happy.
Yeah.
So, and then of course he shows, once they come in, he has a bucket of Instagrow pills, which he shows them, which will make anything grow very large. And then we see, or Floyd says, "What in the name of Fats Waller is that?" And what it is a 4-foot prune. Thoughts on the 4-foot prune, gentlemen?
Well, I wanted to also mention that the pills themselves are really big. I guess we're assuming that, you have to have a really big glass of water to get one of those pills down.
Horse pills.
Yeah, exactly. But then as
Muppets generally have very large mouths.
That's true. Yeah, they could get it down. And then as far as the 4-foot prune, I've never quite been able to tell if this prune that we see is really as big as it appears to us.
I cannot imagine that it is. I feel like it must be forced perspective.
Yeah, it looks like it's there in the shot, but yeah, I think it is forced perspective. Like they built a scale model of a prune and then just put it close to the camera.
I never noticed before, but in the exterior shots, looking in through the window when Kermit is walking into the lab, you can see the prune on the counter. It's dark, so you can barely see it. I'd never noticed it before this viewing, but it is there.
I was looking for it in the later shots. Oh yeah, you're right. You can see it in an earlier shot. I was looking for it in the later shots, but it's kind of hard to make out. But that does look like the prune on the counter there when Kermit first walks in. So yeah, maybe they built a 4-foot prune. I wonder where it is today.
If they did, though, the only time we see it clearly in a full shot is that shot where the prune is huge and the Muppets are all little in the background, right? Like,
Yeah.
it seems very odd to me that they would have built this thing and then we only see it in that one shot and not in the background of other shots, other
Right.
than through the window, like you guys say. I don't know. I don't know.
How do you feed a pill to a prune?
Oh, that's an excellent question.
That is a very good question. I do wonder if they just ground it up and put it into I don't know, the soil that the fig tree was planted in.
So are
Is
you
that
suggesting it was a 4-foot plum originally, and then they
Plug.
dehydrated it?
That is what I mean. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I
huh?
don't know. Question. I also should note, Beaker, when Bunsen is explaining the Instagro pills, he says the effect is sadly temporary, and Beaker says, "Mammy, mammy, mammy." That's the closest thing Beaker has ever had to a line in English.
There are a few other instances where he sort of echoes English speech, but this is definitely the earliest I know of
Right,
where
and
it sounds like he's saying real words.
he has this exact same line in Muppets from Space.
Yeah, that was a fun callback. There's
Yeah.
actually something, I won't give it away, but just to tease a future episode, there's something later in this movie that I didn't notice for a long time that has to do with this.
Yes.
Is that
Yep.
vague enough?
I'm intrigued. I do not remember what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, we'll get to it.
And any other thoughts about Instagro pills or the 4-foot prune?
Well, I had a thought. I just wanted to mention what Floyd says. What in the name of Fats Waller is that?
Mhm.
Just for those who may not know, I don't know. I guess they assumed most people in 1979 would know who Fats Waller was, but Fats Waller was a jazz singer and piano player. He wrote the song "Ain't Misbehavin'," which was performed on the first season of The Muppet Show by Floyd.
Oh, you're right. I didn't think about Floyd singing that song.
Yeah.
Did he perform? Did Fats Waller do "Your Feet's Too Big" as well, or was that somebody else?
He did.
Because that was on the Muppet Show as well.
Yeah, that was another Jerry Nelson character.
Yeah. Also, if those who are not familiar with Fats Waller's work, in the movie Stormy Weather, he does "Ain't Misbehavin'." Look that up. At least look up that version of the song on YouTube because it's incredible. It's one of the greatest performances in a movie musical of all time, I feel.
And then you'll know what in the name of Fats Waller that is.
Yep. The other thing I wanted to say about the Instagro pills before we move on is I don't know if either of you guys watch Muppet Babies 2018 very often, but
I haven't yet.
in my house we watch it very often indeed. And there's an episode where Summer, the new character, Summer Penguin, wants to become taller. So Bunsen and Beaker actually have an enlarge ray in that, which is going to make Summer larger, which feels like a callback to this in the Muppet movie.
Oh,
To me, that's Bunsen and Beaker's first appearance on the show. They bring them in just to be like, hey gang, we make things big. So,
That's cool, although you have not said that they do another callback to Sadly Temporary, so I assume they didn't take that opportunity.
they did not do Sadly Temporary on the Muppet movie, on Muppet Babies, but there is an episode where Animal says his favorite artist is Renoir, so
oh,
they're not afraid to do callbacks to Muppet movies.
Oh yeah, I can definitely tell from what I've seen that the people making that Muppet Baby show are big Muppet fans.
I genuinely
and by
thought
the
you were going to say. I thought you were going to say there is an episode where Animal says "chugga chugga."
And that's a callback to last week.
That was amazing. No, but also the other thing is, while I was taking notes on this clip, which again my daughter Iris had watched with me, I couldn't remember the name of that thing, and I said, "Hey Iris, what was that thing Bunsen and Beaker used to make Summer big?" And she said, "The Enlojo way." So
She got it.
she remembered, and I did not.
Sign her up for a Muppet trivia contest.
She would do pretty well for a 3-year-old, actually. So, anyways, after this, we cut outside. Doc Hopper rolls into town.
Before that, I want to say I love. First of all, Animal's reaching for those pills. What do you think he's going to do with them?
Animal is very interested in those pills. I don't know why. I don't know what he's thinking, but yeah, his interest is piqued.
And I love the way the foam of his hand looks in that shot where he's reaching for the jar. I don't know what it is about it. You can really see the texture of the foam that his hand is made of. I really like it.
That's interesting. Huh.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And after Beaker says sadly temporary, there's this there's this weird I don't know, it almost feels like a dead moment that they should have cut away from 2 or 3 seconds earlier. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But it kind of seems like Richard Hunt is filling space there after he says sadly temporary, because he just makes a couple little noises and
He
nobody
gives a sad little sigh. I wonder if they were kind of waiting for the audience to laugh at Beaker saying "Mammy, Mama, Mammy."
Oh, that would make sense. I've never seen this with an audience.
No, me neither.
It's a good one. It's a crowd pleaser.
You know what? That's not true. I did see it with an audience in Columbia, Missouri, but I don't remember that moment.
But you were saying we cut to outside.
We cut to outside, and Doc Hopper has been there. Doc Hopper rolls up, and the other Muppets are all shocked. Scooter yells, "Hey Kermit, here comes Doc Hopper into the laboratory." And Kermit responds that he will meet Doc Hopper, quote, in the middle of the street.
I never noticed before the painted Dr. Teeth hands on the roof of the bus, which you can see in that shot of Doc Hopper and the goons rolling up.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I really like it.
Just his hands. I noticed on the side of the bus you can kind of see Dr. Teeth's hands playing the keyboard painted on the side, but yeah, that's cool that they have his hands just kind of stretching out on the roof of the bus.
He's got his hands all over this bus.
Yeah.
You know what though? When they painted the Studebaker, it was such a impressionistic, modern art, like Jackson Pollock kind of thing. And on this one, they have much more like specific imagery. So I like that they can change up their art style from vehicle to vehicle.
Yeah, the Studebaker was just splashes of color, and this is much more controlled.
Right. It's nice. It shows real talent.
Yes.
So, anyways, Kermit says, "I'll meet you in the middle of the street." What Doc Hopper says, "Oh yeah," and Kermit says, "Man to frog." And when I was a kid, I thought that Kermit said, "Me and the frog," and I never knew what he was talking about because he is the frog. But he doesn't say that. He says "man to frog."
Yeah, Jim Henson has a little bit of an accent. It kind of sounds like "man to frog."
Right, exactly. Yeah.
As a child, I always misheard the line in Muppet Family Christmas where Jim Henson says to Sprocket, "I'll wash and you dry." I always heard that as, "I'm washing you dry." Likewise, doesn't make any sense.
No, it does not at all. Although I enjoy the image of Jim Henson washing Sprocket dry.
And speaking of Jim Henson, that is still not Jim Henson in overalls as the bearded goon.
No, it's the same guy, I guess. But that is just a guy with a beard.
It's not Jim. Before we move on, though, I have to say, if there are any fan artists listening, please draw a picture of Jim Henson washing Sprocket dry.
Believe it or not, I was about to say the same thing, but I decided it was too silly. So thank you for going there.
Nothing is too silly. For a podcast about the Muppet movie.
Dry cleaning.
Dry cleaning. So then we see Kermit walk out of the laboratory dressed up like a cowboy. First we see just a shot of his feet wearing boots and spurs. And then we see his head and shoulders, and he's wearing a cowboy hat. He's dressed up like Gary Cooper.
I love it.
Before that happens, we get this wonderful shot of the clock, which I think... Do you want to talk about High Noon?
Well, yeah, I just said that he's dressed like Gary Cooper, so yes, of course let's talk about High Noon.
Tell me about High Noon.
Well, High Noon is a film where Gary Cooper just got married to Grace Kelly, and they are going to leave town, go on their honeymoon, whatever. Then his old enemy, a guy he put in jail, whose name is Frank Miller, actually, no relation to the comic book artist, he shows up in town again, and now Will Kane, Gary Cooper's character, has to go face him down. He tries to get Harry Morgan to help him. He tries to get Lon Chaney Jr. to help him, and they're all like, "No, man, you got to do this alone." And then at High Noon, and the movie takes place in real time. It's an 85-minute movie, and it starts at like 10:40 a.m. at high noon, he has to go face him by himself. And here, Kermit has got this whole group of friends, not Lon Chaney Jr. and Harry Morgan, but, Fozzie and Gonzo. And they can't help him. He has to face Doc Hopper alone, just like Gary Cooper at the end of High Noon.
Although in this case, Kermit's friends seem willing to help him, but he has decided to do it man to frog.
That's right, and unlike a bunch of jerks.
That shot of the clock striking 12, the shot of the pendulum and then tilting up to the clock face, I feel like that was in High Noon. I watched it a couple months ago.
Well, in High Noon, like I said, it starts at about 10:40. We see the clock all the time.
Right.
He's going around town. He's trying to get support, whatever. There are shots of the clock showing us what time it is and how close it is to noon.
But I feel like that particular shot as well, tilting up from the pendulum. I feel like.
I think that's right. It's been a few years since I've seen the movie.
I wouldn't be surprised. Also, very frequently in that movie, we hear the song "Do Not Forsake Me, Oh My Darling," like throughout the entire movie, if I remember that right.
Well, it's written for that. I mean,
yeah.
The last line of the song is "Until I shoot Frank Miller dead."
Oh, that's very specific.
Yeah.
I have a couple other notes about the clock before we move on. This is the clock podcast here, but first of all, the shot of the clock also reminds me of Timepiece, which I'm sure was not a intentional reference, but it always makes me think of that.
Sure.
Also, back in the desert, Dr. Teeth said that they'd have breakfast at Hollywood and Vine, but here it is lunchtime, and they're still not in L.A.
That's true.
Maybe he meant brunch.
I mean, the timeline is wonky anyway. I noticed just in watching this. I mean, this is a different part of the film, but I noticed that the moon is in first quarter when Kermit and Piggy go out to dinner, and it's full when they're stranded in the desert. So those two nights must have been about a week apart.
I love that you noticed that.
Yeah, me too. That's great.
I was waiting for the moon to sing a goodbye song, but she never did. And one last note about the clock is that now the audition's at 2 p.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
It's noon now, so if they're going to get to Hollywood in 2 hours, I looked at a map, and I think the ghost town, I mean, again, the locations in this movie are as wonky as the timeline, but I think the ghost town has to be in California if they're going to get there in 2 hours.
Right, which would certainly make sense. I mean, California is as good a place as any for a ghost town.
Yeah, there's plenty of them. So
I think that part of it checks out because, sure, this could just as well. I mean, obviously we know they actually shot this in California, right? So that's fine.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
This concludes the clock portion of the podcast.
Sure.
Come back next time for Clocking Right Along.
That's all we talk about.
Actually, we should though mention because you mentioned the clock reminding you of Timepiece. In case there are any listeners out there who don't know, Timepiece was a sort of experimental short film that Jim Henson directed in the 60s. He was nominated for an Oscar for a short film. It's really cool, really trippy and creative, and I'm pretty sure you can still buy it on, I don't know, iTunes or YouTube or somewhere.
I know you can buy it on iTunes because I have it. It's one of the few films I've ever purchased on iTunes.
Not in Canada, you can't.
Oh, sorry.
You can. Sorry, international listeners.
I know because I tried.
Also, before Timepiece, in 1960, when he was just 23 years old, Jim Henson wrote and recorded a novelty song called Tick Tock Sick about a man who is obsessed with the ticking of the clock and buys many clocks so that he can rock out to the lullaby of all the different clocks that he buys.
Yeah, he's very interested in clocks.
Oh, and the Mighty Favog on Saturday Night Live was named after the clock in the dressing room of, I think, the Jack Parr show, maybe? That was what the Muppet guys called the clock in the dressing room. And then they moved that name over to the Oracle played by Frank Oz.
Right. It was when they were booked on the live variety show, and they were the last act and hoping not to get bumped from the show. So they were watching the clock and like praying to the clock, the Mighty Favog, for them not to get bumped off the show.
But yeah, so the Muppet obsession, Jim Henson specifically, his obsession with clocks goes back years. And again, I was going to say about Tick Tock Sick. That song is very easy to find on YouTube. So do look that up. last week I mentioned Wilkins coffee commercials. Jim Henson did a lot of amazing work when he was in his early 20s. He did more great creative things before the age of 25 than most of us do in a lifetime. So if you don't know that early stuff, look it up. It's great.
It's wonderful stuff. It might be my favorite period of his career.
Sure, I think that's more than fair.
There's also a 13-hour clock in Labyrinth, but enough clock talk.
Sure. And actually, that kind of brings us down to the end, unless either of you have anything about Kermit's cowboy outfit to add.
I do.
Please.
So we get that shot of the legs, his legs walking out of the lab. I don't know how you guys feel about that shot. I feel like the legs don't look that great. I could appreciate what they were going for, but they move really stiffly with the knees all locked. But I mean, you could put that down to the fact that Kermit's wearing cowboy boots.
Yeah, I feel like he's doing like an Old West kind of like walking in chaps kind of walk.
Yeah, that could be.
I think it's hard for them to get these shots of Muppet legs walking to look just right. Because presumably for this, there's a puppeteer basically just holding like Kermit leg sticks from above and making them walk.
And indeed, in the if you watch the full screen version of the movie where the cropping is different, you can actually see the fingers holding the top of the legs.
Oh wow!
That's true.
So yeah, and it must be hard to make that look like the natural movement of legs walking. I think that's one reason why some people are just weirded out by any instance of Muppet legs. Because when they do sometimes show shots like this, there is something kind of unnatural about it.
Although the main thing I'm noticing now is how on earth did he cram his flippers into those tiny boots?
Yeah, that's true. It's probably very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's why he's walking so stiffly. His feet hurt.
That's it.
Yeah, there you go.
And also,
solved.
the shot of the shot of his legs in cowboy boots was reused in a Muppet Babies episode.
That sounds right.
Episode 9, Close Encounters of the Frog Kind, which also introduced Robin as a tadpole.
Oh. I also like the shot at the very end of this clip when you see Doc Hopper's whole line of goons all armed. They're all ready to take whatever order from Doc Hopper to take out Kermit. And then just at the very right edge of the frame, we see Kermit's foot in that boot.
Right. I mean, next week we'll see both of them.
Yeah.
So look forward to that.
I think we can save that for next week.
Sure.
And in the transition from the shot of his feet to the shot of his face, which is a really nice transition, sort of going behind something. He does this thing with his mouth, Kermit does, with kind of like setting his jaw or sort of grimacing slightly, which I feel like Gary Cooper did that as well in
Yeah, I think that's right.
So
whichever puppeteer performed Gary Cooper in High Noon did a really good job.
I think that was another deliberate sort of homage.
That was Jerry Nelson. All right. So I think that brings us down to the end of this clip. Grant, we like to ask our guests when they come on, what's kind of your personal history with the Muppet movie, and also where does it rank among all of the Muppet films for you?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I didn't actually see the Muppet movie until I was 10. I didn't really watch movies as a kid. I don't know why. I watched a lot of television, so I knew the Muppets very well. But I didn't see the Muppet movie until I was 10 years old in 1995, and I was visiting my cousins in England. But by the time I saw it, I had seen all the retrospective specials and stuff, the celebration of 30 years and Muppets Celebrate Jim Henson. And so when I saw the movie, it was like, oh, this is the context for Kermit talking to himself in the desert. And oh, this is the context for that shot of Gonzo peeking down through the windshield from the roof of the car. So it kind of strung everything together for me.
Huh.
And with regards to the ranking, this one jostles for the number one position with Great Muppet Caper, Muppet Christmas Carol, and Muppets 2011. I've tried to rank those four, and I just can't. It's a four-way tie.
Wow. I think that's the most enthusiasm for Muppets 2011 I've heard certainly from a guest on this podcast.
Oh,
So
I love Muppets 2011.
Hopefully we can get you back in 6 years to talk about that one.
Yeah, I don't often hear it placed at the same level as this one and Great Muppet Caper. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's great. All right, well, Grant, thank you again so much for coming on. You've been a wonderful guest. And before we go, is there any work of yours that you would like to plug? Anything like that?
Oh my goodness. Well, let's see. Well, if you go to my website, which is theabstractions.com, you can see the stuff I'm working on, and I'm on Patreon as well, which is kind of hopefully will help fund some of the projects I'm currently working on, which includes a celebration slash condemnation of bad television and a full body puppet that I've been working on very slowly for years.
Oh, cool. Great. So that just brings us right down to the end. But before we go, thank you for listening to Moving Right Along. Please check out toughpigs.com on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere you can find it. You can follow me on Twitter at Zeppo Marxist. You can follow Ryan at @MeRyanRowe. And please, if you're so inclined, give us a positive review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, as it's sometimes called, or anywhere else you listen to your podcasts. Positive reviews help us get more listeners. Tell all your friends about the show. That, too, will help us get more listeners. Mm-hmm. And join us again next week for another episode of Moving Right Along. Goodbye!
Bye!